Fraser sent in a question. He was like, dude, I've learned so much from you. I just want to know, wondering which scales or modes should I use when I'm improvising over chord progressions? And my answer might sound crazy to you, but I've been playing for over 35 years and I've been teaching thousands of students all the time. And I believe simplicity goes a long way. So in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how I approach improvising. It's a simple way. And I'm going to give you stuff that you can work on towards the end. But long story short, you don't need to know modes. It's a lot of stuff that you already have enough that you got to remember. So I want to keep it simple, right? So if we're going to practice on a scale, I like to use the minor pentatonic scale. And people are like, oh, it's a blues scale, it's a blues scale. But I want to show you how you can take certain aspects of it, dissect it into digestible pieces, and use them in order to play melodic lines in order whenever you're soloing, all right? So we want to use the example of being in the key of A major today. If I'm thinking about the 6, let me take that reverb off. My 6, it's going to be that F sharp. Right, so if I come down and I want to work on that, there's 2 different positions that I want you to focus in on whenever you're focusing on playing this minor pentatonic, right? So let's go down to the F sharp, this traditional position. That's one of the positions, and I want you to come down here to F sharp and play down here. That's how I want you to approach it, right? Again. There are certain slides that you can use whenever you're playing, right? So it's not just being so rigid with just playing that kind of rhythm of I don't want that rhythm, right? So I want you to think of like, how can we pick out different notes in that scales in order to kind of make it sound and be a little bit more effective, right? That old like I'll agree. All of those movements are for that minor pentatonic, right? So those kind of bluesy sounds. So what we want to do now is like, how can we modify it, right? Since I know I want to use that minor 6 majority of every time when I'm playing, it just allows me to feel a little bit more comfortable to know where I need to go whenever I'm improvising, right? So let's just practice just running that scale so we get used to the flow of how it feels underneath our hands. Let's go down here and do it again. Now let's start to pick out some cool lines. Especially when you're playing R&B, this is one of my favorite go-to lines. You could do it that way, but I like to just slide up to the G string when I'm playing. I could do it this way. Either way, you want to slide into those notes. Come down here. You want to recycle the same lines that you're playing down here, this lower register, down here in a higher register. So long story short, you want to focus in on playing specifically the minor pentatonic. There's a lot of stuff in there. You just want to work on your phrasing, how you focus and you put things together. You're just like, what is phrasing? Phrasing is like a sentence, right? So it's just like we want to start to be a little bit more descriptive with our phrasing. So instead of us playing like so, like the cat in the hat, what kind of cat was it? We want to start to be a little bit more descriptive in how we want to talk about it. So what I want you to do is I want you to work on that line specifically. Da na 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 ba 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 ba. So just get that part. We're on the B string. Now let's add the other part. Now when I'm playing, I'm not very staccato. I don't want that roboticness. That's the part we got to take out. When you're soloing and you're starting to figure out where you want to go, now you want to start working on the flow of how you're doing it. You can start to experiment a little bit more. The more comfortable you get, I definitely want you to experiment. That's how you're going to start to realize what spaces that you can kind of like put your hands in order to figure out where you want to go. So the lick, I want you to practice using this. I want you to use this lick because you can use it in a lot of different R&B songs or whatever the case may be whenever you're soloing. You may have to break up the rhythm of how it is, but this is the one lick I want you to work on. You can start to change it. As you see, I was changing it and starting to modify it a little bit. It's definitely going to make a huge difference. Also, whenever you're soloing, depending on the kind of vibe, long notes, right? So even if you're using the minor pentatonic to kind of like help set yourself up for whenever you're playing, long notes, right? So we're going to use this song as an example. I'm going to use Wet the Bed, the instrumental by Chris Brown, but I'm going to show you how you can use long notes to approach the song whenever you're using stuff off the minor pentatonic, right? Long notes. You don't have to chop them up and shred them to death. Just long notes. It's definitely going to make a huge difference. So let's listen to the track and play along with the track. Get you a good overdrive, and let's go to work. We're focusing off of that F sharp minor pentatonic. Do that lick again. Come down here and do it again. So if you see in that example, I was doing that line, and then I went to the same minor pentatonic pattern that most of us are accustomed to playing. But I played it really fast, so I can make sure I stay within rhythm. You want to work on that. So let's go work back on that rhythm. All we're doing is we're taking a lot of stuff from that minor pentatonic. We found us a cool line, and now we're building off of that. The more you can start to experiment with that, the more lines you kind of figure out you're doing. It's a great thing also to record yourself when you're doing these experimentations. So just in case you land on something cool and you forget what it was, you can run the tape back. Okay? Run the tape back so that we can see what it is. Let's do that again. Let's do our line, and then we're going to practice adding in the minor pentatonic, same pattern that we're accustomed playing, all right? So let's do it again. F sharp, minor, pentatonic, here we go. you see, all we did was we found one line that we can focus in on. We can play in two different spots because we're in the key of A major. So that 6, that minor pentatonic, the relative minor, is that minor pentatonic. I was telling you, there's a lot of real estate in it. It's not always the boring, bluesy kind of like pattern. We can find single notes in there, single riffs in there, and then from there we can add in the pattern because we know the pattern. We can speed it up, slow it down, whatever we got to do in order to articulate to make it sound good and fit in the right spaces. That's the mastery. That's what I want you to work on. So this is Chris Brown's Wet the Bed. It's an instrumental you can find on YouTube. Play along with it. Use this same pattern, use this same idea, and I want to see how it works for you. If you have any other types of questions just like this, leave them in the comments. I definitely want to answer your question for the question of the week so I can show you how we can unpack whatever your question is, and we can use tools in order to make you a better and more solid player.